Hey everyone, welcome to another lecture. I hope you are all fine and doing great in your lives. It's our 12th lecture, and the topic of our today's lecture is respiration. So, if we talk about the objectives, in this lecture we will discuss respiration. We will also discuss the two types of respiration, which are aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So, in this lecture, we will discuss each of these types in detail. So, we are talking about the respiration. Then it comes to our mind that what is respiration? So, respiration can be defined as a chemical process that involves the breakdown of nutrient molecules, specifically glucose, in order to release the energy stored within the bonds of these molecules. So, we can say that respiration is a chemical process, and it is a process that involves the breakdown of nutrient molecules like glucose, which is a nutrient molecules. So it causes the breakdown of nutrient molecules in order to release the energy which is stored within the bonds of these molecules. So this whole phenomena is known as respiration. So as we have defined earlier that it is a chemical process. So respiration is a chemical process that takes place in the cells and involves the action of enzymes. Respiration can be sometimes called as cellular respiration, internal respiration, or tissue respiration. So we can call respiration as sometimes as cellular respiration, internal respiration, or tissue respiration. Most of the processes taking place in the cells need energy to make them happen. So, the processes that take place in the cells need the energy. Energy is needed to complete the processes. Now we will discuss some examples of energy consuming processes in the living organisms. So, energy consuming processes in the living organisms are: first process is the contraction of muscle cells. Contraction of muscle cells creates the movement of the organism or peristalsis. So, second energy consuming process is the building up proteins from amino acids. It means synthesis of proteins. Third one is the process of cell division to create more cells. So third process is the cell division. Cell division is a process in which cell divides and creates more cells. More replace damaged or worn out cells are to make reproductive cells. Another process is the process of active transport, involving the movement of molecules across a cell membrane against the concentration gradient. So, active transport is the movement of molecules from an area of lower concentration to an area of higher concentration. And in active transport, energy is used for the movement of molecules. And in active transport, movement occurs against a concentration gradient. So, growth is also an energy consuming process. Growth of an organism through the formation of new cells or a permanent increase in the cell size. The conduction of electrical impulses by the nerve cells. So, conduction of electrical impulses by the nerve cell is also an energy consuming process. Maintaining a constant body temperature in homeothermic or warm-blooded animals. So, constant temperature maintenance in homeothermic or warm-blooded animals. So, all of these are the energy consuming processes in the cells. So, this diagram is also showing these energy consuming processes. So, use of energy in the body of humans. So, energy is used in the passage of nerve impulses. Muscle contraction is also an energy consuming process. Protein synthesis from the amino acids is also an energy consuming process. Similarly, active transport, cell division and growth, and the maintenance of a constant body temperature. So, all of these are the energy consuming processes in the cells. Now we will discuss about the types of respiration. So there are two types of respiration. First one is aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is a type of respiration which needs oxygen. And the second type is anaerobic respiration. And anaerobic respiration is a type of respiration which doesn't need oxygen. So, the main difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration is that aerobic respiration occurs with oxygen while the anaerobic respiration occurs without oxygen. Now we will discuss the aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration in detail. Firstly, we will talk about the aerobic respiration. So, aerobic respiration is the term for chemical reactions in the cells that use oxygen to break down the nutrient molecules to release the energy. So, in aerobic respiration, energy is released because in aerobic respiration, the cells that use oxygen to break down the nutrient molecules and then release the energy. And aerobic respiration is a chemical reaction which occurs in the cells that use oxygen to break down the nutrient molecules to release the energy. So, as we have discussed earlier, the word aerobic means oxygen is needed for this chemical reaction. And the food molecules are combined with oxygen. This process is known as oxidation and the food is said to be oxidized. This diagram is showing the aerobic respiration in which glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and water. So this diagram is showing the process of aerobic respiration in which the reaction is occurring in the presence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration happens all the times in animals and plants. So here is an important note that the respiration is different to breathing, because breathing is a phenomenon which is known as the ventilation, in which oxygen comes in and carbon dioxide goes out, while respiration is some different phenomena. So respiration is different than breathing. Most of the reactions in aerobic respiration happens inside the mitochondria in the cells. Mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. So most of the reactions in aerobic respiration happens in the mitochondria of the cells. Now this diagram is showing the aerobic respiration. Glucose have the formula C6H12O6, while the oxygen's formula is O2, and carbon dioxide. So basically glucose and oxygen are converted into the carbon dioxide and water, and this process is showing the aerobic respiration because in this process oxygen is used. So glucose molecules and oxygen molecules convert into the carbon dioxide and water. So for balancing of equation we use one glucose molecule and 6 oxygen molecules, which converted into the 6 carbon dioxide molecules and 6 water molecule. So it is a balanced equation which is showing the aerobic respiration. Now we will discuss about the anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is the term for the chemical reactions in the cells that break down nutrient molecules to release energy without using the oxygen. So aerobic respiration uses oxygen, while anaerobic respiration occurs without using oxygen. So it is also a chemical reaction in the cells that break down the nutrient molecules to release the energy, but without using oxygen. So we can say that the word anaerobic means in the absence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration happens in the muscles during hard exercise. We will discuss it in detail. Aerobic respiration is much less efficient than anaerobic respiration is much less efficient than aerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration is less efficient than aerobic respiration. Why? Why anaerobic respiration is less efficient than aerobic respiration? Because anaerobic respiration releases much less energy per glucose molecule breakdown or respired, while aerobic respiration releases more energy per glucose molecule broken down or respired. So that's why aerobic respiration is more efficient than anaerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration is less efficient than aerobic respiration. Now we will discuss the anaerobic respiration in the muscle cells. Anaerobic respiration mainly takes place in the muscle cell during hard exercises. When we exercise hardly, our muscles have a higher demand of energy than when we are resting or exercising normally. So when we are hard exercising, then there is a higher demand for energy to our muscles than when we are in the resting position or exercising normally. Our bodies can only deliver so much oxygen to our cells for the aerobic respiration. In this instance, as much glucose as possible is broken down with oxygen, and some glucose is broken down without it, so it produces lactic acid instead. So, when a person is exercising hard, there is a buildup of lactic acid in the muscles during this hard exercise. Lactic acid needs to be oxidized to carbon dioxide and water later on, and it causes an oxygen debt known as excess post exercise oxygen consumption or EPOC. EPOC is the excess post exercise oxygen consumption that needs to be repaid after the exercise stops. So that's why we keep on breathing deeply for a few minutes after we have finished the exercise. So this whole diagram is showing the anaerobic respiration in the muscles during the hard exercise. So in the hard exercise, glucose is converted into the lactic acid. So this diagram is showing that glucose is converted into the lactic acid and energy. Glucose molecule, which have a formula C6H12O6, is converted into the energy and lactic acid, and the formula of lactic acid is C3H6O3, and for balancing the equation 2 is added. So this is the phenomena of anaerobic respiration in the muscles. Now we will talk about the anaerobic respiration in yeast. Anaerobic respiration in yeast is used during the brewing and bread making. So, the phenomena of bread making is that yeast is firstly mixed with water to activate in and then added to flour to make the dough. So mixture is converted into the warm place and it rises. Yeast release carbon dioxide and dough rises. A warm dough is important because fermentation is controlled by the presence of enzymes. So when dough is cooked, high to kills yeast and evaporates and formed ethanol, and air spaces are left where carbon dioxide was trapped. So it is the phenomena of bread making. What is brewing? Yeast is added to a source of sugar, fruit juice or germinated barley grains and kept in warm conditions. So fermentation, yeast respires the sugar occurs, and then ethanol is formed, making the drink alcoholic, and carbon dioxide makes the drinks fizzy, and drinks have the sharp flavor. So this diagram is showing the anaerobic respiration which occurs in the yeast. So glucose is converted into the alcohol and carbon dioxide in the absence of oxygen. So here we can see that glucose molecules are converted into the 2 ethanol molecules, 2 carbon dioxide molecules, and energy is released. Ethanol have the formula of C2H5OH, and 2 molecules are added to balance the equation. So here are also the two carbon dioxide molecules and two ethanol molecules which are formed by the process of anaerobic respiration in the yeast, and energy is released. Now we will compare the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. What is the basic comparison between anaerobic and aerobic respiration? So in aerobic respiration, oxygen is needed, while in anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not needed. In aerobic respiration, glucose breakdown is complete, while in anaerobic respiration, glucose breakdown is incomplete. Products of aerobic respiration are the carbon dioxide and water, while the products of anaerobic respiration are the animal cells, lactic acid and yeast. So anaerobic respiration, in anaerobic respiration, if we talk about the products in the animal cells, then lactic acid and yeast is produced, and carbon dioxide and ethanol. So aerobic respiration, in aerobic respiration, the products are carbon dioxide and water, while in anaerobic respiration, if we talk about the muscles or animal cells, then products in the animal cells are lactic acid, and products of anaerobic respiration in yeast are carbon dioxide and ethanol. In animal cells, products are lactic acid, and in yeast, products are carbon dioxide and ethanol. So, energy released in aerobic respiration is much more, and energy released is in anaerobic respiration is little. So, we can say that aerobic respiration releases 19 times more energy than anaerobic respiration from the same amount of glucose. So, aerobic respiration releases 19 times more energy than anaerobic respiration from the same amount of glucose. So, that's all about the lecture. Thank you.